anyhow, there were things. So we didn't have any television, of course. We had radio, and we used to listen to certain programs on radio for a long time. But television didn't come till after World War II. It's when it was introduced. You know, we had no television before World War II, and so we would listen even as we grew older. Through my teenage years, we listened to the Squeaky Door. Witch's Tales was another program, and it had the Squeaky Door. We used to listen to, what's his name, June? Who is he? Huh? Alan Cranston, yeah.
Lamont Cranston, the Shadow.
Cranston, the Shadow. We used to listen to the Shadow. We heard, I remember listening to the story about the Orson Welles played that story of
the War of the Worlds?
Huh?
Yeah, the invasions from Mars. Yeah.
Invasion?
War of the Worlds?
Yeah, I heard that.
Right.
Really?
Oh yeah, people were calling in. They thought that, you know, that was really, people really thought that we were being invaded.
Did you think we were?
Well, I did at first, but then I realized that Orson Welles, but a lot of people didn't start. I heard it from the beginning, and they announced a disclaimer, but it was so real. People would turn into the middle of the program without the disclaimer, and they had it just like emergency broadcast. You know, this is so and so calling from New York. The Mars. If you've heard it, and boy, it was all over the newspapers the next day. How Orson Welles, he's just a young guy then. How everybody thought that we were being invaded from Mars.
I read that in New Jersey, where this was supposed to, where the landing was supposed to be happening, there were water towers with shotgun holes in them.
Where people were shooting, thinking
people were shooting at the water towers, thinking that they were aliens.
Yeah, could be.
Really?
People panicking. You know, everybody had shotguns then.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
It's not like today, where all you got to do is flip the channel to another station, and you know, you got 18 news channels.
Yeah, but when you heard that news, man.
Yeah.
Woo. And then there was, what was that name of that theater, June, that had all kinds of productions, famous productions. What was it? He was a Hollywood producer, and they named this theater. It was some soap company put it on every Friday or something night. Listen to that. In the Shadow.
Did they play a lot of music, or did they mostly do those kind of shows like you're describing?
They didn't play much music. It was not. So I remember the first.
Mostly theater.
Yeah, mostly theater, mysteries, and just stories like they have today. Some of them maybe even the same old story over, you know, like a soap opera, only on the radio. Yeah, but they weren't there was no movies with it, but we used to listen to them sometimes. My parents used to listen. We'd listen to the news.
Now, you had movies, right?
Huh?
You had movies in movie theaters.
Yeah, we'd go to the movie theater. There were two types of shows.
Did they have sound at this point?
Yeah, they were sound then when I was.
I guess in the early 20s.
When I was in my teenagers. Before that, there was the clean 15 cent that cost 15 cents. We called it the clean and the dirty dime. One cost a dime and one cost 15 cents. And it was usually two features. Well, we went normally. I went with my mother.
Far cry from 11:50 today.
On Saturday, we'd go to the show. The Royal was the name of the theater. It was quite a ways away. It was on Figueroa Street, North Vegas, where it was. And sometimes we'd sneak in. Not too often. One guy'd open the back door and we'd all run in. I told you those stories, how we'd sneak into the theater. But they always had a serial every Saturday for 12 Saturdays. And they were, you know, like the girl who's tied to the railroad type. We'd always end in some sort. Flash Gordon was one I'll never forget, you know. I don't have any idea today what those sets looked like specifically, how fake they must have been, because they certainly didn't have the ability today. But Flash Gordon, some cowboy serials, you know, always rescues. The good guys always winning, fighting wars, and the bad guys. And two features and the movie tone news. And that's where you could see the movie tone news.
What
You'd
about
see
cartoons?
newsreels. Huh?
What about cartoons? Did they?
And they have cartoons, yeah.
Were the cartoons in color?
No, not then, not in the beginning. They were all black and white. you know, but they had cartoons, and because Mickey Mouse started in black and white, you know.
Right. Yeah, I know. I just know that some of those Bugs Bunny cartoons, they were made in the 30s and 40s, and
yeah,
they're in color.
In color.
And I'm wondering, did color come out in cartoons before color came out in regular movies?
Technicolor was the name of the first color. Everything was called Technicolor. I don't think those cartoons, none of the serials were, none of the movies were colored at that time. And they would promote the movies, you know. They'd give away prizes on Saturday to get a lot of kids. One of my friends, I think it was Nick Mastro, I'm sure it was Nick Mastro, a guy I knew, the Italian guy. He won, they had who could hit a paddle ball, you know, where you hit the ball back and forth. And he went for about an hour and a half without missing, you know. And he won a bicycle.
Wow.
Big deal, man. Nick Mastro won the bicycle, you know. Bing, 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 bing. So they'd have different type of promotions. Then I'd go with my mother, and we'd usually go up to Glassell Park, which was nearby where we lived. They had a nicer theater there. And they would play sing-along, where they had the bouncing ball. They have the notes, a little words and music, and the ball would bounce, and everybody in the theater would sing, you know, the song. Everybody would sit there and sing. And then on stage, they would give away, like I remember, we won a turkey once at Thanksgiving, a whole bag of groceries we won at the theater. You'd get a coupon when you went in, and then they'd have a drawing, and they'd give prizes away to get people to go. And that was sort of fun. And my grandmother, once in a while would take us downtown in Los Angeles to the Orpheum, which had shows and they had stage plays, the old stage. And I'll never forget, I guess I was 8, 9 maybe, I don't remember the age, but Sally Rand was very famous then, a fan dancer, naked.
Oh!
And she had a fan, she'd wove around like this. And my grandmother took us to, and she was on the stage that day. And my grandmother was so embarrassed because
she was in there with 2 children.
Yeah, with 2 little kids, and there was Sally Rand. But they had comedians and some raunchy dancers, you know. They'd do the thing with a curtain. And
now, was she naked for all to see, or did she hide it with her fans?
Well,
so you never really saw it.
She may have had some sort of skin-tight clothes on, but she would hide it. She had big fans.
It was like an enticement.
Big feather fans.
Feather fans, big fans like this, you know.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
Sally Rand was a fan dancer. Yeah, that was there that one time. That was really fun. And they would have guys with lassos doing all kinds of cowboy tricks with the lasso up and jumping through them, and different jugglers.
We went and saw something like that. What, the melodrama once? Where was that?
Oh yeah, that was in Aurora Grande.
Yeah, that was fun. But they did stuff like that.
Yeah, they had all kinds of, you know, a regular stage show between, and it was called the Orpheum, was the name of the theater. Yeah, we were little kids then.